What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video on Fantasy Football Scout. And today we're doing something a little bit different. Sam versus Lee is going to be later in the week, so I thought I'd do a video on Monday instead on transfer trends. So this is looking at players, kind of popular players that have been transferred out by a lot of managers or transferred in as well. So I picked 4 to talk about today. So we'll jump in with the first one, which is Jamie Vardy. 61,499 transfers out this week. And obviously owners getting a little bit frustrated with another tough weekend, 0-0 against Wolves, no points for Vardy. He's now got 4 blanks in the last 5 games, and it was only an assist in the other game as well. So no goals since game week 18, and like I said, people who still own him are getting a bit frustrated with the lack of returns. And it's Man City at home next, so it doesn't really get any better, although we did score and get max bonus, 3 bonus points for a score of 9 total in the reverse fixture. So not all is lost against Man City, of course, and this is a home game as well, but that is going to be a tough one for Leicester at the moment in the kind of form they're in. Now, Ndidi, we've talked about him before. He's only featured once in the last 5 fixtures as well, so that could have affected Leicester. Whether or not he is the complete reason for the kind of form at the moment and Vardy's form, I don't know, but he's probably having some effect, so we're going to have to keep an eye on his injury. It'd be interesting to see when he's back if it coincides with better form, or if the fixtures help with that too. But when you look at the underlying stats for Leicester and Vardy, it's quite interesting because for the last 4 matches, they're actually 5th for shots in the box, 39 in total. That's joint with Liverpool, and obviously we know how good Liverpool are at the moment. But Jamie Vardy's only had 4 of those 39 shots in the box, which is pretty low. Now, we know that Vardy is not necessarily a player that has a lot of chances and needs a lot of chances to score. We've seen him often in matches have 1 or 2 shots, get his goal, get a few bonus points along the way, and job done. But 4 out of 39 is pretty low, I would say, for a striker. Harvey Barnes, for example, has had 9 in that, so more than double what Vardy has. And here's a list of some players that have had more shots in the box over the last 4 matches than Jamie Vardy. So Ricardo Pereira, obviously at Leicester, fullback. Nathan Ake, Engels at Aston Villa, Aaron Moy, Shane Long, Christian Benteke. And like I said, it's not all about the kind of volume of shots, but like I said, 4 shots is quite low. And with Harvey Barnes getting 9, not saying that he's necessarily a better finisher, he's going to get more goals than Vardy, but it's not looking too good for the front man right now. So the key thing I would be thinking about, if you're maybe thinking about getting rid of him, like 61,000 managers already have, is which strikers are you going to bring in? So I think if you've not got Ings and Jimenez, they look like pretty good swaps, great fixtures, great form. Obviously, Jimenez didn't get anything against Leicester, was perhaps a little bit unlucky. Ings scored again, even though Southampton lost. And there's Firmino too, who's got good fixtures too, and obviously Liverpool in great form. The only thing with Firmino is you've probably already got your 3 Liverpool players. There's possibly no room for it anyway. So it's a little bit tough in the striker section to actually replace Vardy. And also, obviously, on his side, no blank in game week 28, and then it's a match against Norwich away, which arguably, before this kind of run of form, we'd probably be looking at captaining him in, and he could still do well against that Norwich defence. And then it's Villa, Watford, Brighton, Everton and Palace to come. So the fixtures are pretty good after that as well, if they can really find some form. So I think for me, it all comes down to who's your replacement. Look, if you're trying to get Ings and Jimenez in, not only do you get a player in form with great fixtures, you also save a bit of money as well to play with elsewhere. But if you've already got those two and you don't really have an obvious route out, I know he's been frustrating, but I think the fixtures coming could reverse that form and put him into goal scoring potential again. So I wouldn't necessarily be rushing to get rid of him, but I can see why managers have been so far. So another in terms of transfers out, Martin Kelly, not really surprising at all, injured, and it looks like Joel Ward's fully won his place back anyway, so no room in the team for Kelly, and he's been transferred out by 102,880 managers this week so far. Obviously recording this on Monday, so there could be plenty more sales either in or out to come for the rest of the week. Now, I know I've just said this about Vardy, but I don't really think there's a massive rush to sell Kelly either. It all depends on your defence, whether you've got other players that you can play instead. Obviously, he was mostly brought in as a cheap option, kind of bench fodder for a lot of teams anyway. So you could just bench him if you've got 3, especially if you've got like double Liverpool defence and you've got a couple of defenders to choose from for the 3rd spot if you're just playing 3 at the back. It's not necessarily a massive rush to get rid of Kelly, but obviously if you do want to get rid of him, then it's worth talking about replacements. Maybe you need him, maybe he's part of a rotation defence and you just can't have a player not playing week in, week out. So looking at the options, I mean, a lot of these have been talked about in recent weeks anyway. So you've got Lascelles still gaining buyers, 23,500 this week. Fernandez at Newcastle 2, 21,694. So not quite as many, but he is a bit more expensive. Now, obviously, they did just kind of get smashed a bit by Arsenal 4-0. The upcoming fixtures are very good for Newcastle. So if you're going to bet on a cheap option to get clean sheets, these are the kind of fixtures you want. So Palace away, Burnley at home, Southampton away, Sheffield United at home and Villa at home. Now they've all got players you could pick that have been in pretty good form. So Ings at Southampton, obviously Sheffield United have been doing decently enough as well. This is an away game for them. Villa, Grealish in great form, creating lots of chances. So perhaps the clean sheet potential is not massive there, but if you're going to have a good run of fixtures like that, that's probably where you'd want to bet on. Lascelles only 4.2 million if you want to save a bit of money. Fernandes with a bit more attacking threat, but he will cost you 0.3 million more. Egan's actually getting a few buys as well from Sheffield United. Not probably surprising because obviously they conceded, but he did get points there with the assist. So he's only had 12,977. I mean, I bought him in for last game week, more for the goal threat than assist potential, but he did come away with an assist in the bonus point, which was nice. And I think even with a blank game week in 28 for Sheffield United, they've got good fixtures either side of that. And they're obviously quite highly owned. And I know you shouldn't necessarily worry about ownership, but Sheffield United get a clean sheet, which they do look like they're going to keep doing. Then it could hurt if you don't own a player. So Egan for a nice cheap player could be an option. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Lundstrom. Didn't play in the last game again, came on as a sub and did score, of course. Will he get his pace back? We just don't know at the moment. I guess like if you're an owner, you're probably still tempted to hold on for one more week because he has come on and done well when he has. Whether or not he gets back into the team, we just don't know. So perhaps someone like Egan might be a better bet for a cheaper amount of money, which is closer to Kelly's price. And I think Bolly is another good option. Now, some of these players are a little bit more expensive that I'm talking about. I think Bolly's 4.7 million. But really good fixtures for Wolves. They're in great form as well. They do have Europa League coming up. I don't know if it's going to affect them massively. But yeah, decent result against Leicester. Clean sheet straight away for Bolly. Obviously had that goal disallowed, which is like millimetres offside. And I know offside is offside, I get it. But on another day, a couple of millimetres the other way, and Bolly gets a kind of 15-point return. So that's the kind of thing you can do. I think Saish you could get as well for a little bit cheaper. But I think Bolly, just those assurance of starts, good goal threat as well. He'd probably be the one I'd be looking at right now for 4.7 million. So looking at a couple of players with transfers in now, or a lot of transfers in, I should say. So Richarlison up first, 65,045 already this week. Not really surprising because not only is he on fire, but also Everton are as well. Done really well under Ancelotti, especially in 2020 so far. So it's not surprising that they're gaining traction for owners as well. Now, he did miss game week 23 and 24, but outside of that, in the last 5 matches, he's got 3 goals and 2 assists. So 5 and 5 attack and returns is very, very good. And again, that kind of explains why the transfers in are doing so well. The main issue with him is fixtures. Now, when you look at kind of the fixture difficulty rating, whether or not you look at the colour of it, the green, the red, or whatever it might be, the fixtures are not great. So Arsenal away, Man United at home, Chelsea away, Liverpool at home. So 4 top 6 sides, traditional top 6 sides, I should say. Then Norwich away, which is decent. Then Leicester and Spurs. So even Leicester right now are a top 6 side. So essentially 6 of the next kind of 7, they play either current top 6 teams or traditional top 6 teams. So not fantastic. And usually I'd probably be against bringing in a player with those kind of fixtures. But given the form, I'm not necessarily sure it's the worst idea right now, especially around his price point of 8.1 million. There's not really too many players in and around that price. So you've got Bergwijn at Spurs potentially. Their fixtures are better, but they're not great either. You've got Fernandes, and at the time of recording this, we've not seen him play in the Chelsea game. Did okay against Wolves, but a lot of the shots were outside the box. I do think there's a chance that Matic and Fred will play together, which means Fernandes will be able to play in that number 10 position for longer. So he could be a good option, but he's probably a wait and see. Mahrez at 8.5 million. I think he's gone up to 8.6 now. I own him, but I wouldn't be assured of starts every single week, especially when Sterling is back as well. So there's not a huge amount of options. Obviously, you've got Maddison a bit cheaper, but he's been really out of form as well. So what I would recommend, if you're still unsure about getting Richarlison in, but you kind of want to, Neil at Fantasy Football Scout wrote a really good article about, essentially it was about Everton because of their fixture run, and are the top 6 as good as you think they usually would be, i.e. should we avoid them, especially when you've got a run like Leicester, or Everton I should say, when they play 6 of them in the next 7. And essentially, I'm going to link it below, but essentially they might not be as tough as we think. And so for 8.1 million, the form he's in, the form Everton are in, I think even with the fixture run, I can see why they're getting this amount of transfers in. I'm not even sure I'd avoid it myself right now if I needed a replacement for someone like Mahrez, for example. And last up, we've got Mane. He is back now, used as a sub against Norwich, but he did come on and score. So those that held on to him will be very happy, especially because everyone else blanked. So Salah got nothing, Firmino got nothing. Obviously that awful miss from Trent Alexander-Arnold assist, but on another day that might have gone in, but it didn't, and Mane came in, and 50,653 transfers in already. Now, we talked about Liverpool so much, their fixtures, we talked to it almost to death at this point, but just a quick reminder, the next few fixtures: West Ham, Watford, Bournemouth, Everton, Palace, Man City a bit tricky, then it's Villa, and the list kind of goes on, and almost right up until the end of the season they got good fixtures, and I think we can start worrying about maybe whether they're going to rotate more once the league is fully wrapped up, but they've still got to get another kind of 4 or 5 wins until that's absolutely certain. Obviously, if teams like Leicester and Man City start losing games, then it'll be a bit quicker than that. But I don't think there's enough need to worry about that right now, especially when the fixtures are so good, and obviously we're looking to them to score plenty of goals. Now, he's only owned, this is overall ownership, by 20.7% of all managers. So that's come right down since his injury in Gameweek 24, whereas Salah's owned by 45.1%. So at one point, Mane was higher. But now Salah's obviously, more than double his ownership at the moment. And it's basically been a big shift since that injury in Game Week 24. Probably unsurprisingly, in Game Week 25, he was already sold by 1.2 million managers, myself included. But now he's coming a little bit back in. He's not really recouped the 1.2 million with 50,000 transfers, but he is one of the most popular transfers in for midfielders this week. Now, Salah's looked pretty good, I think. Good form while Mane's been out. I think against Norwich he actually looked okay as well. There's a couple of nice kind of turns and stuff in the box, got a few shots away, but ultimately didn't really do much in that game. Maybe a little bit unlucky not to get a penalty for the Van Dijk hold, but we'll discuss that probably in another video. But yeah, on another day, maybe Salah gets some points, but it's Mane that got them. And I think ultimately, if you're going for a strategy of just having one midfielder, probably, you've already made your choice. You've already got Mane or Salah. But let's say you're having to make a transfer right now. I think I would probably go for Mane. Apart from the penalties, I don't think there's a huge amount to differentiate between them right now. When Mane came on, he was the one making the runs in behind, was playing quite central as well. And ultimately, we've seen him all season do really well alongside Salah. And right now, he's lesser owned, and he's cheaper as well. So I think he'd be the one I'd go for. I just don't think I'd really have too many concerns if I only owned him and not Salah, or if I only owned Salah and not Mane. So right now, if I was going to bring one in, I'd probably go for the one that's, like I said, cheaper and lesser owned. I think for captaincy, West Ham at home this week, good captaincy option. Bournemouth as well coming up soon. You're going to probably want a Liverpool captain. And if you're trying to chase rank, why not go for the one, like I said, that's lesser owned? So Mane, lots of transfers in this week. I think it looks good. I don't really have many concerns. I don't think anyone can with bringing Liverpool players in, so he's looking good. So we'll leave that video there. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a like. Like I said, we've not done a video like this before on Fantasy Football Scout, but it's one that we're going to consider doing going forward. And like I said, we just changed the videos around slightly in terms of when they come out this week. So there won't be a Q&A later in the week. But we'll have Sound versus League probably on Wednesday or Thursday instead, and this one today. So let me know in the comments below what you think. The 4 players I've selected, are people wrong? Should we be getting rid of Vardy? Should we be keeping him in? Richarlison with the fixtures, lots of transfers in, but is that a mistake? Let me know in the comments below. Subscribe if you're new around here, and we will catch you next time. Cheers all.